Hey guys, and welcome to the first episode of Adulting with Mr. Welch. Today we're going to learn about tying things. Specifically, our goal is to tie a bow tie. But before we do that, we have to understand a few basic skills that are going to be required before we can do that. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to learn how to tie a shoe. Because if you can't tie a shoe, tying a bow tie is going to be a bunch of work. So, bear with me as we go through this. We're going to tip this down just a little bit so you can see a little better. We got our shoe right here. Okay. When it comes to tying a shoe, just like tying a bow tie, first thing we're going to do is do our little over-under, right? So we get that shape. That same exact thing is going to happen when we go to tie our bow tie. We got to start there. Then we're going to take one side and make a bow. Now, not everybody ties the shoes the same way, and so there's going to be some difference in what you might have traditionally done. But this is how we're going to tie that bow tie. So we're going to get that nice bow right there. Take our other side, we're going to wrap it around. Now, notice I've got my thumb underneath that. Gives me a little pocket. I'm going to create the bow from the other shoelace, the one that just went around, and I'm going to follow my thumb through that hole that we just created. Okay, so through the hole that my thumb had created is going to allow us to tie our shoe. This is the same knot that we're going to use for our bow tie. So let's try that one more time. Make sure, if you never learned how to tie your shoes, this is a good opportunity for you to learn. So we're going to start by making our bow. I'm a right-handed person, so I do this with my right hand. Notice my thumb is sitting right here on the knot. When I bring the other side, the left side around, I go around my thumb. Now I like to pinch it right here with that index finger, so it's between my thumb and my finger here. So now when I take the leftover of that wraparound side, I take the cord, make a little bow, and I push it through where my thumb is, grab it, and pull through. There's a little adjusting that you have to do as you go. But there's our bow. Now we want to do the exact same thing with a bow tie. And so, good news, I've got a bow tie right here. And so the first thing we're going to need to do is loosen up the collar a little bit, get these button downs out. I'm a big fan of the button-down collar because I think it looks good when it's not with a tie. When you have it undone and you do undo the top button, I like that a lot. I hate it when these guys are flopping around. So, personal preference. But we're going to take our tie and we're going to go around. Now, this is really important. One of the two sides is going to have to do that wrap around, and so we always want one of them to be just about an inch to an inch and a half longer. Now, if your tie isn't long enough when you go to tie this, usually they extend in length in the back. You can see that on the back here. There's different measurements, and those measurements technically talk about how long your neck is on your shirt. I typically wear around a 15 and a half. I'm a big believer in letting this be a little bit longer than the labels on there. It gives me a little bit more play, makes tying the knot a little bit easier. But what we're going to do is we're going to make the right-hand side just a little bit longer. So you can see it's just got a little extra length to it. Okay, so I do that so that I have that play. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of line them up right here, sort of like that. Maybe a little bit lower, but right around that crease there is probably about the right spot. So I like to do that with my right hand. And so my right hand, now if this looks reflected to you, good. Just try to follow me with the reflection. But I'm going to take my right hand, which is my longer side, and I'm going to put that over the top and under. That's that same knot that we used to go for our shoelaces. Okay. So now my sides have switched. I'm now going to take what is my right hand side and I'm going to fold it. Now I want to fold it so that this crease right here where this gets smaller, that's that narrow section, I want it to be in the middle. So I'm going to fold it and I'm going to grab the knot that's back behind with my thumb. So I'm holding the whole knot that I just tied and the front end. Okay. The other side is going to come over the top, just like we would, going to go around. Okay. Back behind here, it's a little hard to dig out, but there should be a hole that slips behind the side that we just created. All right. There's a little hole back here, and we're going to take this side right here. We're going to create a bend in it, and we're going to shove it through as we go, shoving it from left to right. And if we pull that out correctly, we should end up, let's do a little straightening here. something that looks like that. There's your bow tie, tied really well. Now, I realize this is sort of like the expert level. Some of you might not be quite ready for that kind of skill, and you also might not have a bow tie. So, option number 2 is to go with a traditional necktie. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our traditional necktie, and we're going to give that a try. So, bear with me. We'll swap that out. Go to our traditional necktie here. And one of the hardest things with the traditional necktie is make sure you get the length right. Sweater vests, things like that, cover up the jacket, something to kind of cover up the length if you screw it up. But really, guys, there's always a little bit of time to figure it out, get the hang of it. One suggestion that I have for you that I've used before is I actually when I stand up, I let the long end right here get down to the inseam of my pants. That's about the right length that I like. But, you know, everybody's their own critic. They can pick what they want. I like it when the tip of my tie touches the belt buckle but doesn't go below the belt buckle. Kind of gives me a couple inches there to play with. But what we're going to do, again, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put the big side on the right side and get these kind of nice and smooth here. Another thing that you can look for sometimes, there is a seam on the tie, usually on the back side. And you can try to find that and kind of line that up. That might be a good place to go to, but it gives you a reference point as you go from tie to tie. So we're taking the big side in my right hand here. It's going to go over the top, okay? And it's going to wrap around, this is the skinny side. It's going to wrap around that skinny piece that's just going to lay there. Okay, all the work's going to be done by the big side. So now I've got that first wrap around. To do a basic knot, I'm just going to wrap this, let this go all the way around. One big loop. Back to where it was. So you can see it's gone all the way around, back to where it was. It's going to go up through the back side. Okay, up through the back side of my knot. And then I have to open this knot up, this wraparound. I have to open it up so I can slip it down through that. And then it's just about tightening it up. And there's your knot. Really basic knot. It'll flip or tie down. We're good to go. If you want a little bit more, if you can notice, this isn't a very symmetric knot. It's definitely angled from one side. If you'd like it to be a little bit more symmetric, I can teach you one other one. It takes a little bit more tie. So if you have a really fat tie, a thick tie, it's going to be a little harder. I'm going to make it a little bit longer on the big side and do the same thing. I start out exactly the same way. But what we're going to do here, instead of just wrapping around, and what we did before was we came straight across, instead of doing that, I'm going to come around the other side. So you can see that I've wrapped around both sides of the knot. Okay, now I'll go around and down. Do that same finishing where I'm going to slip through this hole here. Okay, this is going to create a more traditional square knot. It also makes a nice little dimple right there. And when I say square, I just mean it's a lot more squared up and symmetric. But you get the nice dimple, and that's really cool if you like that. But those few different knots you can tie: bow tie, regular necktie, and if you didn't already know, now you know how to tie your shoe. Hey, good luck at adulting with Mr. Welch.